Hi everyone and welcome to Hedgehog Hollow's video tutorial using one of the new Stampin' Up sets out the new catalogue with this lovely little teddy bear. I'm so pleased with him, and it's one of the first things that leaped out at me out the new catalogue. Now, if you haven't seen the new catalogue, demonstrators were able to get it at a special event called On Stage. Here's the cover. I'm afraid I can't show you inside yet, but there's some fantastic stamp sets, and I will be doing some videos on our pre-orders, so you will get to see some of those over the coming weeks. But today we're going to make this little guy, and I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can stamp him out using three-step stamping to get different tones in his fur. So first of all, we're going to stamp out our teddy bear, and I wanted to show you two different ways you could actually stamp him out. This is the stamp set. And just before I get started, thank you to everyone who looked at my first video. I know there's a few things we got wrong, a few things were upside down, so hopefully today will be better, and we'll keep learning. You'll notice that this one's in German. Stampin' Up actually shipped us the wrong ones by accident, but we're going to get an English one, so I haven't used this sentiment, I used something else. But these are your three different bears, and you also can have a bow on him, which we're going to do today as well. So let's take all of these out. So first of all, we need to stamp our bow. I'm actually going to give him, I haven't done it on here, but I'm going to give him the little bow under his neck here. And I'm going to use something to mask it out, but we'll get to that in a second. So let's stamp out our bow. So this is the first one we stamped, so this is the really detailed one. And I'm just going to grab my stamping scrub. If you've watched any of my tutorials before, you'll notice that whenever I use a new photo polymer, I always just run it over my stamping scrub first. And all I did was actually do the mask for this one, so I'm going to do a good scrub. Don't need any spray or anything on there, whatever's on there is enough. But it just dulls it down a little bit and takes off the chemicals that they use when they make the photo polymers. So we'll just pop him off for a second. So first of all, you've got your really detailed ones underneath. Now I'm going to use real red, and I don't have another shade of red. So what I'm going to do is for my lower layer, which needs to be slightly lighter, I'm just going to stamp off onto my scrap paper, and then I'm going to stamp somewhere around there. You'll see it's just a little bit, well, it's quite a lot lighter than the first one I stamped. And then I'm going to peel that off. Pop it. It's another thing I do when I'm stamping and I haven't quite finished. I pop them on the box where it shows the picture of it, so I don't lose them. And then over the top, I'm going to ink it up again with the real red. And I'm going to stamp on like that, and you can see you get a really nice different details to the bow, and it makes it look 3D. I'm going to pop that to the side for now. Now normally, of course, if I stamp my bear over the top, you're going to cover up your bow. So what I'm going to do is I've created a little mask that I just stamped out, and I use something called Eclipse tape that you may have seen online before. So this is Eclipse tape. It's basically a long roll of the top bit of a post-it note, and you cut off a strip at a time. And if I've got my bow, for instance, I stamp out my bow onto my Eclipse tape, I cut round it, and I get a really nice mask like that, and it will stick on. And I keep my mask just in the front of my stamp packets so that I can use them again. I don't have to cut it out every single time. So let's pop our real red away so we don't use that one by accident. And now I'm going to stamp out my teddy bear, and I'm going to show you two different ways. Now the first way is to use three different shades. And I found that crumb cake, soft suede, and depending on what you feel, you can use chocolate chip or early espresso for your third one. It's entirely up to you. But I am also going to show you a way that you can use 1, 2, or 3 different stamp pads, depending on what you've got. So we start off with our lightest shade. So this is the crumb cake, and we use the most detailed stamp for that one. And we're going to use the E block, because he fits on there nicely. And I've already cleaned these off once because I used it to make the sample that I showed you guys earlier. So we stamp down, roughly centering our bow where we want it in his neck. And we stamp that down quite firmly because it's a very detailed stamp. Don't worry if you get some lighter areas, because you're going to cover those in with the more detailed stamps anyway. Then we go to step 2, and if you notice actually on your background plastic, it does tell you step 2, step 3, and on the other one it says step 1. So if you're not quite sure, it does tell you as well what order to do them in. Now I'm going to take my soft suede. Oh, excuse me, I've just been outside, I'm a bit sniffly. And I'm going to roughly, and it doesn't matter if you haven't lined it up exactly, you don't need a stamp and a jig each time. I know some people I've seen online have been worried that it's a lot of effort to do that. And then finally, get our step 3. And I'm going to use early espresso this time. And as I say, you can use chocolate chip with this combination too. I've tried that. And he comes out. And then this just gives us all that extra definition by stamping it out. Like so. And you can see that if we'd left our bow, how dirty and that it would be. You wouldn't really be able to see what was around his neck. If I now peel off my mask, there we go, that's what I call it. You can see our teddy bear has a lovely bow around his neck like that. Okay, so I'm just going to show you that, say for instance you didn't have all of these colours on hand, because I know not all of us do, and it's only recently that I've invested in some of the extra browns because I never use them that often. Maybe somewhere in me I knew that this teddy bear was coming. So I'm going to show you how to do it. You can either use 2 stamp pads, so we can use the crumb cake as our base layer, as we did originally. You can see how juicy my new pads are. I'm not going to do a bow on this one. So that's step 1, like so. Oh, excuse me. And then I'm going to skip straight to our darkest shade, which again, early espresso on this one. Just give it a quick clean on my Stampin' scrub because it's still got the other colour on. You can see my Stampin' scrub is well loved. Like so. And so I'm going to ink it up with early espresso. Just check I got the right one. Like so. And I'm going to stamp off onto my scrap paper first, and then stamp over the top like that. And then I'm going to take my darkest one, again my step 3, and again I'm going to do it with the early espresso, but I'm not going to stamp off this time. So I'm going to add in all that detail. There you go. So you can see that it doesn't look that different. So if you haven't got all the different shades, you can do that. And finally, I'm going to show you can do it with just one ink pad if you need to. So let me just grab another piece of Very Vanilla. We're going to start with our solid shape again. I'm not going to worry about cleaning too much. So we're going to early espresso him. We're going to stamp off lightly once, lightly twice, and now we're going to stamp him down. Like so. Now we're going to take our step 2. And we're going to ink it up. We're going to stamp off once, and then that's going to be our twice. And then last of all, we're going to take our step 3, and we're not going to stamp off at all this time. Let's check I pick up the right stamp pad. Press it down nice and firmly to get all that detail in so he looks nice and furry. And you can see, there we go, you can do it with one stamp pad if you need to. So I'll line them up so you've got my inky fingers over them. So you've got 1 stamp pad, 2 stamp pads and 3 stamp pads. And ideally, of course, you want the 3 to get all the different tones, but you can use one of the other techniques if you need to. Just going to put my pads away because with 2 young children, otherwise they end up everywhere. So, right, I'm going to push those out of the way. So the next step is to cut out our teddy bear here, and I'm going to use my big shot for that, which is not right in front of me, so you'll have to bear with me while I just go and cut that out. However, I'm going to use my magnetic platform because if I pop my nice wrong side, pop my bear down, I'm going to pop my circle die over the top, and you see how that nicely clicks on. I actually have to, it's not going to just shake off. It's using the magnetic platform, so it's really good for cutting out teddy bears or anything that you might want just perfect like that. So I'm just going to pop off to my big shot and cut this out. I'm also going to cut out the scalloped circle out of the crumb cake as well. So just bear with me just for 2 seconds and I'll be back. Okay, so we're back and I've cut out my teddy bear and my scalloped circle. So the only other thing that we need to cut out is our hello, which I'm going to do from the bottom there. And for that I'm going to use my Hello You Thinlets. I'm going to grab my hello, and you may have seen in my last video I've invested in a sapphire from Spellbinders only because it fits on my desk, and since my operation I'm not very good at getting up and down just yet, and because this doesn't have a magnetic platform I have to use, put it the wrong way up, a little bit of tape to hold it where I want it. Actually we'll do it up here to not waste so much. So I'm going to stick that down. I think Tilly is trying to let us know that Mummy have done it wrong. So because it's a very small die, that's why I couldn't cut my circles and things out on it. So I just need to cut a nice slim piece to cut that out of our trash. So I'm going to see how dinky it is, but it is great on your tabletop. I'm just going to move it out of the way. And you can see I've done lots of banners recently. And I'm just going to wind that one through. Like so. Pop those sides up. Put that there. And it just sits nicely on my tabletop at the minute. Now, I invested, I don't know if any of you have tried it, in the brush that Stampin' Up. I think Tilly wants to have a go. Brush that Stampin' Up sells for detailed dies, and I love it. I know there's some mixed reviews out there, but I absolutely love it for things like this hello, so I can pop out the easy bits like that. Like so. But what I can also do is go over it on the sponge mat, and then I start, because I find this one really tricky to get out, and of course while I'm doing it on the video it's not helping me at all. There we go, you can see it just starts to lift it up for me, so I can pull it very gently and it comes out nicely. And yes, I do wax paper my detailed dies like this quite regularly, so that they do pop out nicely. It is worth doing. I know it's a bit tedious, but it's definitely something worth doing. So, and there is our hello. I'll pop our brush and everything to the side. So now we're ready to assemble our card. So for the base of the card, I had a pre-cut bit of chocolate chip that you can see I pre-scored. So again, I'm using A4. If you're in America with your 8.5 by 11, you will need to adjust your bases just slightly. And then I've got a piece of the Designer Series paper, Timeless Elegance, which is out the current Spring-Summer catalogue, and it will be gone after that. I've stocked up on a few packages because I just absolutely love it. On the other side, you've got this beautiful rose design that coordinates with the Rose Wonder, I think it's called, stamp set. So I'm just going to stick this on, my trusty snail. Like so. And I will put all of these dimensions in the blog post for you again. But the chocolate chip was half of A4, and the Timeless Elegance I've done 5 5/8 by 4 inches. So it's about 1/8 of an inch difference, so that my scallop circle fits on the designer series paper. And then we need to assemble our teddy bear. So we need some sewing again. That's it. And I use some dimensionals just to pop him up when I put him on the card. I'm afraid I am a bit of a dimensional freak, and I use a lot of them. I don't want it falling off in the post. One in the centre. I think this one's going to be off to someone quite a long way away, so I don't want this falling off in the post and they get the card and it's all in pieces. So we'll use a nice lot of dimensionals to put it together. And then I want to line my teddy bear up, just leaving enough room for my hello in the bottom. That's fine. Pop him down. And to stick on the hello, Stampin' Up! Released this fine tip glue pen, which is fantastic for things like this or sequins, and it permanently has this white screw top on, which has a needle in, so you can always use the glue as soon as you need to, and you can take the fine tip off, as you saw I was doing by mistake. And you may have noticed that the dazzling details is retiring. I'm retiring this year. But you can use this, it dries clear and it does give you exactly the same finish. And I'm using a very small amount, just outlining my hello. You don't need much at all. I find if I use dots with this on the hello, you get some splodges, so I just do a very light line all the way around. Some bits won't be covered, but it is enough to hold it on the card. There we go. Ooh, not onto my dress, hopefully. Oh, and line it up on my card. We'll press it down, and we'll hope that there's enough on there to stick. There we go. I need to repaint my nails. And what I normally do at this point is get something fairly heavy, like my Stampin' scrub, and just for 5 minutes, I'll leave that on there just on my desk, and that tends to hold it down. But I'll do that afterwards, so I'll pop that to the side for now. But here are your 2 finished cards, one with a bow, one without a bow. And if you have any questions, there we go, or comments, we'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to see your teddy bears when you can order the stamp set in the new catalogue. Happy stamping, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Just before you all go, I wanted to show you Tilly. Hopefully you're still awake at the end of my video, unlike her. See you soon. Bye.